Great. Hey, welcome to session 5. Today, I have plans for you to learn TestNG. It's another type of testing framework. Um, we're going to cover this. We're also going to cover some of the things that we were not able to get to last weekend. We did alerts and iframe, but didn't handle hover over, scroll down and up. How do we switch driver to a new window? And set and keyword action. If I can, I will. If not, we can always do this later, so no big deal. So a little bit of session 4 and most of session 5, we want to get it done today. Just a synopsis of what's coming tomorrow. It's going to be collaboration, and I'm going to show you how this whole software that you're going to be creating, this testing framework, how it's going to be managed throughout other people. How are you going to collaborate on the same code base? Where does it go after you code it? Who takes it? Who runs it? So all of those things are going to be discussed tomorrow, and you will get the entire idea of how the automation department works. So hopefully we'll do that tomorrow. But so this is what I have for you today. Before we get started, I have one student in class. Remind me your name, please. Dipti. Dipti is going to share her homework, and were you able to successfully run the whole thing?
Yeah, I did the transfer one which you have assigned in the task last week.
Yeah.
So I did that part of it.
Yeah, good. And validated as well?
Yeah, it's validated.
Very nice. Let's take a look at it. So Dipti, making you the presenter. Except when you're ready. And you might want to just first briefly go over, it's going to show where major codes are. Some of the basic things like set property, you don't have to worry about those.
Sure.
And then you can run it and we can see how it goes, okay?
So in the beginning, we can see here I just set the property and open the text file site, and I'm trying to log in that. Till here.
Dipti, can you maximize your screen, please?
I can see it's maximized. You want me to more?
Her screen is fine. How about your meeting window? Can you maximize your meeting window?
Yes, it worked. Sorry.
Okay. Yes. Sometimes that's the cause. Sorry.
So here I'm just trying to maintain the library with the web element, not with the locator. And then in the here in this line 39, I'm just trying to validate the dashboard title, whether did it displayed or not. And after that, I am clicking on the transaction.element.click here. And I'm sorry, I'm using set.sleep because I got stuck confused when I was using locator. So then I just found there was one doubt when I was using here maintaining the library through web element, and when I'm trying to, as per your assignment, it was by with locator. We were trying to maintain with that. But when I was trying to maintain with web element, so I was trying to use this method, wait for element, and definitely I have to change this class by locator. Instead of that, I was using web element, and then I was putting the element here.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, but I found some errors because what it was doing in these lines when I was trying to find driver.find element, this dot click here. So I found some error here because in the first line I'm trying to telling the web driver this Selenium to go this line, right? Web element find this transaction element.
Right.
So and after that I'm telling to click here. Then only it will move to the next, right? Transfer link, transfer element. Right. So it was showing error there because it was unable to locate that element. So that's why I couldn't use this TED.sleep. I'm using TED.sleep here just for right now running my test case, but
Right.
later on I will just go with the locator.
Right.
And update it.
Right, which is also common, or we've seen it before, that if you use web element to identify or apply explicit weight, it doesn't work for some reason.
Right,
It only works with by locator.
By locator, yeah,
Yes.
that I found in my code too.
So that's why you were not able to do that, and that's okay.
Yeah, but I just want to show
Thread.sleep is fine.
TED.sleep I just did, but I didn't use my weight method. But
That's fine.
I tried in another script, it was working fine with the locator.
That's fine.
So here, what I did, transaction.click, here it's clicking here, transaction link, and then after that, it will go to this line, transfer. It's clicking on transfer link, and then it will select the fill the form. Then I just selected with hard coded, then we and house. These are the hard coded values. And then here I'm just generating a random number to make multiple values for multiple entries. And here I just took one this description and amount field. I just storing it in a string variable, this DESC variable and AMT amount variable. Then again I use thread.sleep to just wait for some time, and I can see my code when I'm running.
Yeah.
Then it's filling here the form description dot send keys, and it's replacing the value with the DESC variable, and then amount it's filling, and then clicking on submit. Then again I use this wait thread.sleep again. I could have used this explicit wait, but I'm using thread.sleep. Then here in the web element, this one is portable data added. Whatever I have added, I am just trying to store it here. And then in this string added data equals table data or added your get text. Here I'm just trying to, whatever we have added, I'm trying to store it in a variable added data, what we are adding. And then for this line, it's like just for my purpose, system.out.println, I want to get it in the console, what is basically for just checking, for verifying my own.
Right.
And then here in the last one is basically I'm using assert, so that if it's this expected assert dot equals, if this expected and actual is same, so my test will pass, otherwise it will fail. So that's all. So let's run here. So this time the data is test Tuesday 68. So it got added here, and then transaction added. So I can get in the console also. Like this is the value I have added.
Awesome. Very good job. Can you go to how did you identify that drop down element and go to the Chrome inspect tool and show them how you found that element?
You're talking about this, right?
Those,
Option value.
Yeah, one for Tanvi and one for house. I think some of us had issue finding those elements and be able to click on it. So if you go back to the Chrome, open Chrome, and go to get files, like CRS. You can even copy from your warehouse. Yeah.
So here when we do inspect, So here I'm using expert. So
press Control plus. Press and hold Control plus. And open up this window. And also you can bring the bottom section down. Maybe one bar below. Go one bar below.
here,
Like it,
yeah, this one.
Pull it down. Right.
So first I'm looking what class is this. So when I do inspect, so we know that drop down is always get saved in the select class. So we have to find where is the select class here.
And also, do you remember your HTML class? You had ordered list and unordered list. OL was the ordered list tag name, and UL was unordered list tag name. Sometimes they will appear under UL or OL. So either you want to look for select tag name, you want to look for OL, or you want to look for UL, and there might be something else with list. Okay, but if you scan it, you'll be able to find it. Sometimes it doesn't really give you. If you go back to that, if you right click and inspect, see that's not the right element. But that's where you come in, your intelligence come in. That hey, I need to open up an element that's going to show me all these things, and this is not giving me anything. So you scan up and scan down and see if you have something to do with select, UL, unordered list, OL, or in my company, it's like MAT list, MAT dash list.
MAT.
Yeah, MAT. And obviously, I see the list. I don't care about the MAT word, but list gives me a hint that maybe all that list is down there. So I expand it and I see it's there. Now you can show the select. Yeah.
So if I expand, I can see here all the values are here. This is the select class here. So now if I write the XPath for this,
Explain.
select, so we can see it's got highlighted, and then again with the tag name and then attribute. So ID I can see here, F account, so I can take this, and then we can see we have to go down this option value. We have to select house, then we whatever the name. Then again I have to go with the one / and then option, and the same thing we can see it's got highlighted in the square bracket. I can write this value equals whatever the value we will choose. So now we can see it's string 1 of 1. So this is about the right XPath, and we can copy it. So in this way we can hard code the value.
Question? What if I challenge you to? Sorry,
if I come there is to single quote or double quote.
Single quote.
Should be single quote. Double quote works as well. If you take the double quote and take it to Eclipse, Eclipse is gonna add a forward slash right here, or a backward slash, trying to tell the program that don't think that the quote that you're gonna use here as an expert quote. That's a different kind of quote. So it will automatically do it for you. But to keep it clean, you want to go in and replace those with a single. Can you write an XPath if I were to ask you based on not the value equals Tanvi, but this text displays as Tanvi?
So for text, I have to go with like option, and then there should not be any at the rate.
No at the rate.
no at the rate, and then
Comma? Comma is only used for contains.
contain. So text equals text equals convey. Yeah.
That's it. So you have
So we can choose whatever we want. We can choose value equals this, or we can, if we want, we can go with the text.
both of those are good options.
And contains is always good because if there is any error, any name change,
Right.
then
Here's what you can also do. You see, you can actually pass some information in. If you devise an a method, imagine a method has this XPath in it. And method takes the name. You pass the name in the method, and you have this XPath, but you have this part blank. Method. You created a method called click on element 4, and then you have those parentheses. And inside the parentheses, you pass in Tanvir. Method takes the word Tanvir, and inside that method is this XPath with this part blank. You pass Tanvir, Tanvir is going to get in here, it's going to find that element, find Tanvir, and click on it. That's a dynamic way of doing it, which I'll show you next weekend. But that's good. Any questions? That was the only tricky part, right? On this. Everything else, you've seen it in the class, and you all just need to put your mind to it to get it done.
yeah. But one thing I just would like to, when we are adding any value here, any transfer, so can we validate with that transaction added successfully message also when we are getting this message?
Sure,
I was
right
trying
click,
to do with
right
that,
click on it. Inspect.
but I couldn't get the XPath for this transaction added successfully
Okay.
properly. So
Can you expand? All right. See that I right there?
right.
Okay. Right click on it, and you all can do this too. Sometimes I like to look at what the system provides. Right click on the word says transaction and successfully on the,
This
yeah,
one?
on the DOM.
Right click?
Yeah. And copy. No. Actually, on the I element. Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. Right click and see if there's a copy.
Yeah.
Copy XPath. Okay, and paste it in that box. Let's see how it looks like. So it's not a very good XPath, but you can use that XPath.
We can use it, but it's like kind of a mix of relative and absolute.
Correct. I would create something with this part right here. See this alert success fade in. That's probably not going to change. So go back, come all the way up here, type in div, or yeah, div. What was that? Right click again, inspect.
We can take class and then contains. We can do.
See that button right here? That button is this button.
Here.
Yeah. So you can even get this button.
This button class.
Yeah, with the data dismiss alert. Yeah, click on it. Copy that whole attribute right there.
Data dismiss.
Yeah. Copy that whole attribute. Come back down here. Delete this and write button. And open close parentheses. With @ symbol. Paste that whole thing. So you got the button right there. Okay, this text, notice if you scroll down here, this is kind of weird. You won't be able to get the text. Because you can only get the text if the text is right here, inside the sandwich.
Yeah.
But this text
it's going inside.
It's not part of.
The tag.
It's not part of anything in here, but it's like a one jumble. Here's the sandwich, top bread and the bottom bread. So it's messed up. It's
Yeah,
really
because
hard
I
to
was
get that.
trying to get that message, but I couldn't.
You can, but you don't have to.
Okay.
The thing is, do you agree that if this was a success, then you would get this bar come up? This element will come. If it was not a success, it may be a different element. So if you already got a button from that particular element, that's as same as if you were to get the text. That's as same as if you were to get this check mark. So any symbol from there, if you can get, that's enough for you to validate. It does not have to be literally validating the words show up. Unless you find a need to see if that spelling was a mistake by a developer, which we don't need to care about spelling. Okay? We're here to catch big bugs, not small ones. Other questions? If you go to your Eclipse, she has an assert down there. I have a question for you all. Would that display a failure message? Why not?
Because
Line
it's
number
like
69.
equals, right? If you assert true, then we can do that, right? If it is failure, then it will show a message.
Either way,
Or assert false?
also assert equals, you can display that.
Oh.
Depends on which one you choose.
Okay.
Okay. She chose assert equals, and there may be another version of assert, which assert equals, there's three things in it.
Okay.
One is message,
Expected.
then
and
expected, and actual. Right now she has expected and actual, but the message option has not been selected, which if this fails, it's not going to give you that your personal message. But again, assert has a wonderful way of telling you that it will say expected was this, but actual was that, and you can see the difference and why it failed. Okay. So it may not give you your own personal message down there, but it will give you enough information for you to tell why it failed. Okay.
So you recommend to use another type, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with a message.
Yeah.
With the message.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
when it fails, so it should be with the message.
Yeah. So great, good job. Questions last minute before we move on? Okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, finding the X path is okay, right? But we do this way or other way. But the thing this she did before that is a kind of hard for me. I don't know how she got the all those syntax for the drop down method. Can you
She did.
explain a little bit of that?
Yeah, she didn't use the drop down method at all. If you, Dipti, if you want to scroll to that point where,
This one?
yes, notice she did not use any fancy method. She just, line number 47. It's
Okay.
directly getting the XPath and clicking on it. That's it. And that brings Tanvir on the address bar. Line number
Okay.
48, driver.findElement by.xpath. She has that XPath to locate that house option and click on it. That's it. There's no fancy methods.
Okay.
You don't have to use select fancy method. There's a select fancy method there, which I may be able to show you today. But the idea is you don't have to if you don't want to. You can find the element, click on it. Select will do it in a fancy way and might be more complicated for some. Okay. You just have to put some time on this, okay, line by line, and
This one was complicated. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
This one finding the XPath, this one using the XPath access, it was little like the concept needs to be clear.
okay,
This one,
all right, and that is your data table,
data developer.
correct. But you got it.
Yeah, I got it.
So can I how can I get that expert on line number 64.
Okay. So let me take over and show you how you can get that.
Another thing, no?
Mhm.
I saw the video last week.
Video
Did you share?
should be. If not, you can contact the. Do you have contact
Someone
with
contacted me a couple
AP?
of times.
We have two, couple of times.
But
I don't see your
couple of
videos
times
up.
someone said someone, but I still didn't get that.
Okay. I have uploaded the videos. What they have to do is bring it to this website. So your team is what? Summer 2019, and it's not there.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can urge Enrico. I had the video ready Monday. So all they had to do is just bring it from Vimeo account to display it over here, which didn't happen, but I apologize for that. I'll let them know. I wish I could do this, then I would have had it up there already. But anyway, finding the element for your transactions. This is the
Yeah, here when you want.
this is the table that you wanted to get the info from, and here's where you put in your random number. So you needed this particular text from this table. You right click on that, inspect. Again, do it several times, make sure it stays stuck at a certain point. From your HTML class, you remember how to display a table. It starts with a table tag and then goes into table head and table body. Head is where your column headers are. Notice how it gets highlighted right here if I hover over. And table body, this is going to encompass everything, all that data that's over here. So you definitely want to start with the table tag if you wanted to create an XPath. And then go from there. Now there are multiple tables, then we need to look at something, but here, let's see. We only have one. I don't even have to put in the class equals tables. I could to make it more unique, but not needed. This page only has one table, so this is enough code for you for XPath. 2, you need to get into table body. Okay, so instead of table head, table body is where you need to go to. Put a forward slash and say T body.
I have a question.
Mhm.
The line which you're typing in,
Mhm.
the table slash forward slash body,
Mhm.
that line.
Yeah.
Where do I get that?
What do you
That's
mean?
not in my, not showing up. That's fine.
Question mark?
Control F.
Control F you have to do. First to control F.
Well, you don't have question mark there?
No. I'm not able to.
Oh, I see. The search box.
Yeah.
Control. Control F is like for finding something. And you're asking me now? Oh my god.
I did everything with the ID locator, ID name and everything,
Yeah.
but I couldn't do XPath. I just did copy and
Yeah.
then copy XPath. So
Goodness gracious. You should have stopped me like on my first day when you couldn't find
the
this
first
one.
day it was coming, but I don't know somehow.
I see. This is like absolutely important. All right. So there's your T body, and here's your first piece right there. And you just have to use your logic right there that you want to get to first row, which is TR. So forward slash TR, and you know you want to be on the first row. It's okay if you put 1 right there. Okay? because at this time, we want that first row, even if it's absolute XPath. But do you see that in this particular case, that's what you need? Because you need that first row. It's not going to change. It will always be that first row. And you don't want it to change. And after you do that, this first row has TD, table data, table data, table data. There are 3 of them. First TD, second TD, third TD. Which number of TD I want? Second one. So you do a / TD, takes you to the data you want, the second one, and put it 2. And now you are over that. But you notice that there is also one extra thing in there underneath. Sometimes data is going to be right there. Other times there are other tags underneath. But that's okay. You got your / and you could say A. You could do another / and go to A. Oops. And there you have it. That's where your element is, GU. Whatever is displayed right here. Now if you say this element dot get text, then it's going to return that GU for you that you can use. Right? Can I move on? Okay. Awesome. So let's go ahead and finish these few things that we were not able to finish, which is hover over, scroll up and down, and switching to a new window. For hover over, I have a Dell website that we're going to practice on. Take a look at this website. If you were to automate this, your navigation, you have to hover over and get to these menus. Every single one of these pages needs to be tested. There could be multiple test cases in each of these pages, and they have to be automated. And I'm pretty sure that they already have automation in place to test these sites. So today, I'm going to show you what do you have to do to have your mouse hover over and open these up. We're not going to click on it, but the mouse is just going to hover over and open this up and then click on something else. So let's just pick randomly something. So we'll hover over solutions and we're going to click on Internet of Things. Let's see if that's a fancy page or something. Yeah, not bad. Okay. And then we could even validate whether this page showed up. Going back. How about this one? Desktop visualization. I like this one better because it stays within that same page. Let's just do this. So hover over solutions and click on desktop visualization. That's our task. How are we going to do that? We go here. Let's close this out. This is from last week. We already have a project and we're going to work within the project. Let me do one thing I keep forgetting. Okay. So I'm still working within that same project. All I'm going to do is add a separate class inside this test package. I would right click on this test, new class, and we're going to name it hover over test. leave everything the same, click on finish. That will give me this class called hover over test and give me a class stub with beginning and ending information. What I need to do then is just copy a few things. Okay. To copy a few things, you can open up any one of those test cases that you already have. Let's say Google, well, we did pop-up. So I'll click on pop-up and I'm gonna take some of these method information. Okay. So let me create mine first, which is public void. I'm gonna name it the same except this would be lowercase. Or validate, not to confuse you, validate del site hover over. Now, for JUnit, what kind of annotation you have to put? At the rate test. So we're not going to go there. You got your method ready. All your code has to go in here to do stuff. Now you go to another and just straight copy this setup properties. You must have this line. You must take this line at minimum. So I go here, paste that. These are all fancy things. You can do it later. I'm not going to take it right now. Also, implicit wait, not needed. Here, I'm going to take the driver.get. This is going to get me to the Dell website. So I'm going to take that line. I'm going to keep things very simple. The driver.get will get me to the line. Here, I need to replace this URL with the new URL that I want to get to. So I go in here. I already have this site set. Where is it? Weebly. I'm gonna take notes. Weebly 4 and mouse over. Here's the site. I'm just gonna copy that. Go into the project. Replace this URL with this URL. You'll see in automation a lot of things that are copy paste. Good for you. You don't have to memorize things. All right. At this point, you should test it to see if you did everything right. You see this red right there? And that has to be resolved. Now, two things when you resolve that. One, make sure that you have JUnit library in your build path. That means you should have this JUnit 4 library here. If you don't have that, you must select that first. If you have it, you don't need to click on that anymore. You can just go straight to import test. If you don't have it, you have to first select this JUnit 4 library, then hover over again, and then select import test. So I'm just going to do import test, and that got imported, and he's happy. At this point, we're going to run it and see if it goes to that particular site. And then you're ready to go. Opened up the Chrome, and we got the Dell site. We good? I may need to maximize, because see this is when it's minimized, menu is not visible. This is a bug. Developers, when they don't put some sort of perspective ratios, when your frames get smaller, they lose some elements. It's a bug. So we just found a bug. Take a look at this. You can see these options here, but now you don't. Okay. It's a bug. They can. There are some codes that they can put in that these menu options will get smaller but still display. But in this case, it doesn't. Also, how this displays on a Firefox, Safari, iPad, your phone matters because a lot of customers these days are going with their phones. So you have to check cross compatibility of your site with others. That's more code. A lot of companies, they don't have the manpower to do all that. Okay, so that's okay.
I have a question.
Hmm?
So this thing we found with the manual test. How we found this with the automation?
Your automation would be, let's say you didn't maximize it and you tried to hover over, it's not going to find element to hover over.
No such element. So we will worry whether it's like in our code we have did something wrong.
Then you have to come as a manual tester and check it. Just kind of see.
But can we check if already not maximized and maybe code here? Because menu is already there.
Yes. And a lot of the times I find bugs before I automate. Just like this. Just like this. In my company, I was like, okay, I took a particular page that I wanted to automate. I went in and I'm playing through things. I'm running my automation fails. I'm like, is it my test? Maybe it's my test. But I'm like, no. Then I open up the site myself and I'm like, yeah, how can I not see that? Or Selenium doesn't see this element. Why not? I ask questions and I'm like,
at that point of time, we will report the bug
correct.
With your manual steps, whatever we have done.
Correct.
Not through the automation steps.
Correct. And if you want to do it informally, like I went on the site and I'm trying to automate things and I'm finding these things. I'm not 100% sure if they're bugged. I was messaging the developer that worked on it. And I was saying, hey, is this supposed to be like this? And he's like, nope, bug, file a report. Hey, is this how it's going to be? I sent him a screenshot. He's like, no, bug. So before even I put my automation out there was a whole lot of things that was like a bug. But again, some of those bugs I couldn't automate. For example, this button right here and this button, see how the spacing is? Imagine there's like extra space right here. That's a bug I can't automate. So I was seeing that and I was asking the developer, hey, is there a reason for there's a difference between the space here and here? He said, no, we just have to change some things. It's a bug. All right. So a lot of those things, they code and they don't actually check. That's when your eyes come in. You can be a good tester if you question everything. You need to know everything. You have to question everything. So I know right now that I need to maximize. So when we open up the screen, let's do driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. Okay, let's put that there because I don't want my test case to fail. If it didn't maximize, menu didn't show up. So that was a logic that we just used. Now that we're on that page, what do we do? How do I get my mouse to hover over this word called solutions? That's my first task. Here's the code. The class that you have to invoke is called actions. Okay. You give it a name of your choice. Java says you have to call it by new actions. And in that parameter, you pass in your driver. So now with this action word, you got two things. One, you got the ability of the driver. And with this action word, you can do some things such as move to element. So if you can find that element, driver.find element, by dot, however way you want to do it. Once you find that element, if you pass it there, then it works. Now there are several other things that you can do, but let's back up for a little bit, take some baby steps. So first, we got to find this element. How do we find the element? Right click, inspect. It went away, but it did find it here in the DOM. I may have to read this font. Yeah. Okay. Solutions, right click, inspect, and there it is. Solutions. Now, if I click in this box and then do Control F, that gives me the search box. In this search box, I'm going to scan up and down and see if there's something unique. Well, this solutions word is unique. Could be unique. Let's try this with text. How about that? So I click on this text and I come down here. Somebody who can tell me the code, raise your hand. The XPath for that. Go ahead.
2/4
2// Anas, right? Okay.
and span.
Good job.
Then square bracket
Open, close, square bracket.
and text. 2 bracket.
Open, close,
Yeah, open.
parentheses.
And equal, comma.
No.
Sorry, the
Single quote.
Then solution.
Are we good here so far? We got one element. Hey, you're happy. You're good to go. Now, if there was another word, solutions here, with the span tag, you are in trouble. That's when you need expat exes. But it's still easy to do. Here's the thing. If there was another span solutions in here, do you think it's going to be near this element or farther down? Farther down. Look at this. What is that? It's a list. This unordered list, you got a list. Okay, this, if you hover over this unordered list and this list, this is all this section right here. So if you anchor your XPath from here, unordered list, and then get down here, then you bulletproofed your XPath. Tomorrow, if there's a word that come up here with solutions, with the span, it will never fail. Because the word with solutions here is going to be not within this reach. It's going to be way down somewhere here. See that HTML? There's another frame. It's going to be inside another frame. But for now, that's not today's class. This is we're just getting this element, okay? So I'm going to leave it at this right now. Copy this right here. Go in here. Little refresher for you. We're going to store this element. Okay? We're going to store this element either into two things we can store it into. What? Either web element or bilocator. Okay? And depends on what that action class takes is what we're going to have to use. But taking a look at these notes, sometimes you have to read online and figure out. I'm only going to get you up to the point where you can automate some test cases. Okay? But after that, you're going to have to do your continuous learning yourself. And Google is going to be your best friend. Trust me, we have developers that are highly skilled and they still this day, they Google things. Because new things come up, do you think they're going to hit the universities? No. There is no such course like this you're sitting down is available in any university right now. Why? Because technology is so quick, so fast, and it's changing. And by the time the bureaucratic universities get to it, it takes them years to get approved. All right? And by the time it got approved, new technology came out. They're already behind. So they can't keep up with it. That's why this company is thriving right now. Because we can give it to you right now on the spot in 4 months. And you can go and start working immediately. Okay? But it's not holistic again. It's all like filtered down to very basics. The rest of the stuff you have to learn from Google. So take a look at this note. Here is saying you need to, how do I know that this is, what's my sign that this is, I have to start a class, that I'm creating an object? What's the keyword here? New. If I say new, I know that a class is being instantiated, is the fancy word. And instantiation, all they do is they repeat the name of the class. Actions, actions. Somebody off the street, they read this, they're going to be like, you probably don't know English grammar. Why is he writing actions and then action and then new action? He's crazy. But you know that there's a meaning for that. That this is the class, this is the name of the class, this is just somebody who's going to represent the class. You can give any name here. And then you pass the driver. So you kind of follow that. And look at this. When you say actions, and then with the dot, it gives you some methods you can use. Who can tell me what is this method taking by looking at this much? Is it taking web element or is it taking bilocator?
File locator.
Web element is like whole driver.find.element.
So how much did I highlight? Is that a web element or is that a bilocator?
This is web element, and when you are highlighting from by, that will be the bilocator.
Correct. This is a web element. If I highlighted this much from the by, then it will be the bilocator. Bilocator only takes this much info. And a web element takes all the way from driver to the end without doing any operation, meaning clicking, sending text, getting text, none of that. It's just gonna find the element, that's it. Action comes later. But we know this is gonna take web element. So by knowing that, you can actually create a web element and give it a name and store this element that we just found. Here's the element, solutions. So we could say solutions, top navigation. We had the side navigation. These guys have top navigation. So solutions, top navigation module locator. I know it's a big one, but you gotta have to organize and classify your variables. So solutions, top navigation. This is a module, not a page. Module element. Because it's not a bilocator, it's an element. This whole thing is just a name. And you can reduce it down to this. Solutions module, that would still be meaningful. Solutions module element. Hover over the web element, import web element. Now in here, write down your element. So raise your hand, who can tell me how do I write the element here? Okay, driver dot find element. By is capital. Okay, dot xpath we've just figured out, and here we paste the xpath. So in here, you can go to the site. Here's the xpath we formulated. Bring it back here, paste it, semicolon to close, and we're done. Now we have the element. Any question here? I just found the solutions element, and all I'm doing is storing it. Storing it into this constant called solutions module element. I can get it through this. I don't have to write this anymore. This is messy, but I could just say solutions module element and do something to it. Like what? I could do, let me just copy this. I could just do dot click. I could do dot get text. All those operations are now available with that name on. But hover over, you have to create an object of actions class. So, somebody want to give it a shot? Huh? Action, new, and we have to pass who? Drive. Okay. Hover over, import actions class. Good so far? Now with this action word, you can do some operations. If I take that and put a dot, look at this. I got a lot of other tricky magic tricks that I can do. What are some of those? The most important, mainly people use, is called move to element. But also, these are some of these things you can do. Click and hold, double click, drag and drop. After you drag, you can release. It's going to drop it off. So whichever is needed for whatever you need to handle, all of that is wrapped in this actions class. I went in, my first automation, they put me on a page, and so unlucky, I had to deal with the slider. Before I joined, I have never successfully automated a single test case. Not one. But I know bits and pieces here, okay? The bits and pieces, and I know there is something called actions classes that I may be able to handle. So Google was my friend. Google, YouTube. I was searching, reading paragraphs on paragraphs, and trying this doesn't work, trying that doesn't work, and then finally got it. Yes, they're gonna give you time. Okay, don't panic. What you're gonna do is, okay, you got an automation. You got a test case. You build a test case, either in team or they give it to you. In my case, the guy just came in, automate this. He shows me with the finger. This one, this, go to here, then click there, and then here's the code that's gonna get you there. And then do all these things. I'm like, where's the test case? We don't have the test case. The manual tester, she just does it out of her head. She never really wrote it down. They don't have ALM. They didn't have written test cases anyway. Imagine that on my first day. On my third day, he asked me to automate. First day, he asked me to install all these line of things in the laptop. Second day, he's like, asked me questions about the project, meaning you going in and exploring through these. He's like, look at the framework and tell me if you have any questions. So I was going through these files and folders and trying to see where's what and how that works and stuff. Then he came in, took me for 30 minutes and tried to draw what method goes into what class and stuff. I was still super confused. It was my fault I didn't finish my tech bias class. If I did my tech bias classes properly, then it would have been much less painful for me, but I survived. Anyway, so Google and YouTube. Yes.
I went to Google. I've been searching for the whole week, but then I didn't like. I'm not trusting any website. Like usually people get stuff. There's nothing there. Do you have because you get through this? Do you have specific websites you are getting good?
There's one called Stack Overflow, something like that. So that could be a good one. But you're still gonna find some amateurs giving their amateur comments and things. Um, I lost track. Yes, if you get a test case and you give it your point, meaning how complex it is. Let's say if you wanted 3 days or 4 days, you want to give it like 5 or 7 points. Now you got 3 days. Isn't that enough time for you to sit at your workplace and search Google and figure things out? You could put your headphone and watch my videos on some things that you missed. It's all doable. Okay, you're gonna have enough time, and that's on your own. So nobody's looking, watching where you went, how you did it, and nobody cares that you actually have to look up Google to do that. They don't care about that as long as you can deliver the product. If you can deliver the automation and it works, how you did it, nobody cares. You can even take me. I could type it for you. They don't care. They were like, cool, I didn't have to pay him for that. But I'm just exaggerating. Move to element is what we're going to do. Move to element, let's see, there's a couple of these. Which one do you think we want to take? Second one. There are other ways to do this. These are offset, meaning you can specify x-axis and y-axis value. Okay? And those are a little more complex. Most people don't use it, but there is a ruler that you can download that's going to give you x-axis and y-axis on your screen. And you can pinpoint where it is, and you can pass those values there. We're not going to need it. We're just going to go with web element. And notice what this is. Target, meaning the element that I want to hover over. Okay? So I clicked on that, selected. Right here is asking for the target web element. And because we already stored one solutions module element, Eclipse was smart enough to say, maybe that's what you want. And then we click on it, select that. Now we just created an action of move to element. It's going to move to the solutions module element. There are two more things you got to finish off this week. One is called build. The other is called perform. This is the logic behind it. This build method takes this element and the action and marries them together. Okay? And the perform actually goes and does the hovering over. Okay? These two is not needed in every other instantiation of other classes. Only actions class must have this build and perform at the end. So you have to kind of know this. Okay? Now let's see if it works. Any questions before we run the test case? So you are only going to see that it's going to open up, and you won't see a cursor moving, but you will see this menu open up. Okay? It's just going to open up solutions like this. So let's see if it does that. Don't need that. Here we go. Running this. Oops, it did open. I didn't see it. Ah, reset. Run it again. Why? Because I'm didn't close that window. So I needed to close that window out. Bring this up a little bit. So it was actually running the other test case. So now we're on the right test case. Validate del site hover over. Run. Opened up. Maximize the screen. Go to del site. Implicit wait, meaning the page was still kind of in the loading phase while it went ahead and tried to do it. Let's see what's the error is. See that? No such element found because the element did not rejuvenate yet. So if I put an implicit wait here, I thought I was not going to need it.
I did.
Manage.implicitly. Oh, come on. Why does it doesn't let me put a dot? There you go. Please timeout. See, I forgot. Dot timeout dot implicitly wait. But it, like you saw, you don't have to memorize it. You can still play with it and figure it out. Now here's time. I'm gonna put 10 seconds and unit. There's this fancy way of putting the unit, which is capital TIME time. Units or time units. It didn't open up. That means my spelling wrong. If I do time unit, now it gave me these options. And then I know that I got it right. Choosing one of these, I could do seconds. So SE will give me that CONDS seconds. Well, still have to click on it. Okay, excuse me. Now let's try this. So it's going to implicitly wait 10 seconds. If that still doesn't work, we may have to try thread sleep. If not, the element is wrong. We probably didn't do a good job on element identity. Running again. Window. It didn't. So let's try thread sleep. See, I have no control over this window now. If thread sleep works, then we're going to do explicit wait. But thread sleep is going to tell me if that's the wait needed, if the wait was needed like that. So right before this, hovering over this element, sleep, 3 seconds. It's too much, probably not needed, but we want to be on the safe side. Now let's see if it works. Here, We're gonna figure this out. No worries. See, this element is getting stored right here. It's no such element at this point right here. I need to put sleep down here. Does that make sense? This is where I'm trying to perform on the element, but the actual element was getting stored here. I'm putting thread slip in the wrong place. Let's try that again. Fill failure. Still fail. No such element. At this point, it tells me that this element that I found is not a good one. So we're gonna have to change this.
I was trying to locate the XPath for the solution, but I couldn't get the screen.
Work for you?
No, I
What did you type in? Same? So let me just double check this next step because that's what it's telling. It cannot find, unable to locate element with span text equals solution. So either I copied mistake. And you use the same XPath? Can you share your screen? Okay. Making you the presenter. Are you in the Google GoToMeeting? What name did you put in? Which is? Last one? Okay. Increase the font with pressing Control plus. It's not working. Click here. Click in the body. Yeah. Click in the body and the Control plus. Yeah. And then reduce this window right here. All right. Can you copy paste this URL to me? You are just gonna go into this messaging here, chat, and type it in this box here. Yeah, do that. Okay. Go ahead and demo yours. Yeah. Okay. Close this window. Let me see your code. I'm noticing you put implicit weight later. See that his implicit weight. I wonder if that may be the trick.
But I tried without the implicit weight and
Can you take off the implicit weight? Let's see if that works. The other thing could be that my URL is not a good one.
It's different one.
Oh, you had two implicit weight.
but two implicit without.
Okay.
But then the website is different.
Yeah.
It's looking different.
My URL is different, and maybe that's the mistake I made. Still works. Okay. Let me try. Let me try the URL that you gave me because I copied from. I didn't copy from here. I copied from this site right here.
Yeah, it's different one. When you search Google, you can get the one that he got.
Yeah, so it's possible that with this URL that I have here, it doesn't function or does not operate. So let me take his URL, which is probably same URL as if I were to click on the website and get it. But just to be on the safe side, I want to see if it's the URL that's the problem, because implicit wait was also fine. It passed without the implicit wait. So only thing I can think of is URL. That doesn't need that plus sign, but that's okay. Close this out. Okay, running, save and run. I still have the 3-second wait, that's okay. We'll see. There. So it was the URL issue. Let me take these weights out. Don't need that implicit wait right now. Don't need this thread sleep. And let's see if that works. I don't need this quotation. Hover over, save, and run. Worked. Okay, thank you. So interesting learning. I thought they would be the exactly same website. It shows like it's the same site, but the URL is different. It doesn't understand Selenium operations. So just be aware. Anyway, moving on to our next thing is clicking on this button here, desktop visualization. So we just want to make sure that it works. Let me close this windows because it's still kind of like, does it really work or not work? Here we are, and this is the element desktop visualization. Inspecting it, it also has the span desktop visualization as text. So I can reuse this one. Span desktop visualization. Copy this up.
Two of them.
There are two of them. Oh, okay. So in that case, I need to anchor it down here. So here's another expat axis lesson for you. So I'm gonna go up and see who's the parent, and the parent is UL. So we'll do UL class tier 2. I'll copy that. Go in here. We'll say UL open close at the rate. Paste that class tier 2. We got it. Now open that up. We're gonna look for solutions. Desktop visualization. I have to right click again to find it. There you go, down here. So here's the anchor element. Notice I could anchor it down here. Li. Wait a minute. There's like 6 of these guys. See that? Not a good situation. Trying to brainstorm what else we can do. What about this?
The XPath was, there's something wrong with it. I tried the one.
Which one?
The one, the previous URL.
Yeah.
For that website, they were not able to get their stamp. The solution has spaces. Yeah, the solution. I checked that too. Because they didn't differentiate it with the drop list. Yeah, I can list there. Because the URL was correct.
Yeah.
But for that URL, the XPath for the solutions was different. It was not that. Because you are not seeing it there. For that URL basically. Yeah, the solution has spaces.
You know what it could be? Did they teach you about different environments? Yahoo.com. Okay. This Yahoo is in production environment, meaning everybody can see this, work with it. The same Yahoo has something called a dev environment, and the URL goes kind of like this. And if I type in, I don't have access. You have to be in the network to access dev.yahoo.com. When the developers are writing codes, it goes straight to dev.yahoo.com. And there's a lot of bugs and things like that. When they have cleaned up the bug, every sprint, after 2 weeks or so, they're going to move that code for dev.yahoo.com to another URL called test.yahoo.com. Test environment, testers are going to go in and try to do their automation running and everything, make sure that works. Once that's clear, 2 weeks later, they're going to move that to production, which is no more dev or test. We may have stumbled into one of their other versions. These are called versions. Okay, dev.yahoo, they have certain version. Each sprint, they give a version name. Why? Because new code just came in. So they have a new version number for that. So I think what may have happened, we may have stumbled into an older version. Yeah, that's a different version. So XPath DOM is kind of different, and they may have changed it. And now the one that we have is a bit different. So just to throw it out there. Okay, so here, this is taking so long. I just want to go really fast now. I was able to identify that this is the element I want. And if I just went up here, I found a unique class name. So I took this, not class name, data test ID. So when I took that, it gave me 1 of 1. But that's not what I want. I need to click on this. So here I can do a /. How do I get from li to span with XPath axis? DESCENGANT, descendant, ::, star, spelling is correct, back up and write span. And you don't have to write anything else. You already got 1 of 1. You're done. You take this element, go back to your automation framework, and stack pile where you have all your automation, all your elements. Since we have our web element right here, it's nice if you stack them all at one place. Sorry, that's not what I want. So you do the same thing, web element. This time it's desktop solutions page, not module, page element, equals driver dot find element by dot XPath. It's gonna be a super long XPath. Here's sometimes I do this. Can I store the XPath somewhere and just write the XPath container name right here. How would I do that? String, correct. I can do string storage, give it a name called xpath equals, in quotation, there's my super long xpath.
But there is a double quotation.
Correct. So semicolon to close, these double quotation, single quote would be fancy. It would still work. See that forward slash that kind of came in, and that's it. Now in here, by.xpath and instead of xpath expression, I can just take this baby. That, copy that, paste it here, and close.
That xpath is for specific element.
Sure, this is not a good name.
And also, like, you cannot use.
If I wanted to make it better, it should be like this. Industry standard, desk, that would be industry standard name. And then you copy that, paste it. Okay?
I mean, this is just for one element.
One element. You don't have to do this all the time, but if you see this line is going to become big, if you were to put this xpath right here, you can make it smaller, look your code fancier. Now we have this desktop solutions page element, and we want to click on it. So why? Because we want to see if Selenium was able to hover over and click. Now, it does take a second for this to open up, for the hover over. So I'm not going to go to explicit wait right now. I'm just going to give you thread sleep. Thread sleep 2 seconds. And then take this desktop solutions page element, click on it. Dot, click. Okay, now let's see if it works. Just gonna hover over and click on desktop solutions, and desktop solutions page should open. Desktop visualization. Sorry. Did? Are we good? Now you can validate that this title should show up, or desktop visualization should show up. You can put an SR and validate and be done with it. We're not gonna go there because I'm just showing you how you can use hover over. Any questions about hover over? Cleaning up the code, and this code is gonna be there for you in the notes section. Next, take a break.
Can we use the action to move to the other element? Like instead of the move to, then what?
Like on the
Same line?
on the same line?
Yeah, dot, move to.
It's
Move to
I never
element.
tried, but it may be possible.
Okay.
Doesn't show. You have to perform,
Oh,
but you never know. You might find out a shortcut. Dot, click. No, you don't want to. You can click on it, but you don't want to
no,
click.
you can move to two elements at the same time. Then just click. But how it will, we have to locate the second element too, where we have to click on the second element, right? How you are going to do that? You are not clicking, you are just hover over. Hover over and then clarify which element you are going to.
But is it needed? Is it needed? Probably not. Probably not needed to hover over desktop solutions and then click on it. Not needed. Why? Because it's already in the view. but that will be just an extra code. Do you want to do an extra code? Right? Is it going to work? Yes. But you want to think about how can you minimum code, how can you make your thing work. Okay. Now, see, next time you don't have to instantiate this class anymore. You can just hover over another one just by saying actions. Okay. I don't want to throw you off, but just want to show you this. Don't panic. Could I have done this on one line? Yes. If you do that in one line, you have to instantiate this for every single element. If you do it in 2 lines, you instantiate once, and you can call this action class over and over. How do I do it one line? Here. Instead of instantiating the new class and storing it into action guide, you don't store this at all. I'll show you how to marry them together. So let me just copy this here. What you do is you take off this part. And this you can do it for anything that you learned before. Like explicit wait, you can also do it for that. So you delete that part. You delete this. You delete this part. And put a dot, and you're done. You instantiate it with a new. You did not assign it to any representative for that. You're moving on that same one for that element, building and performing all of that in all once. Okay, I'm just gonna comment that out right now and just leave it up there. Short form of instantiation and performance. So you will see a lot of offshore folks also quote it this way. Let's take 5 minutes break, folks. We'll come back and continue. 10 minutes, 5 minutes? 10? Okay, 10 minutes.
Can you save it in the notes with shortcuts?
Yeah. I'll just save this whole thing that's there. All right, starting the recording for after break information. Let me just close this out. Closing this one out, last concept, still moving from last week. I haven't even been able to get to what this week entails. Session 4, I need to show you this one. Let's wait for scroll up and down. It's not that major, but moving to new window.
A brand new window? Are we opening in another tab?
A tab, another tab basically, yeah. This one might be on your interview because sometimes they will ask you to do things and then clicking somewhere opens up another window and you can't operate. So that's why I want to throw that there. Scroll up and down is probably not needed for you. You could figure that out yourself.
Maybe we can get the last weekend videos.
Can I talk about that later? Let me go over this material first.
Okay.
Let's close this door. These doors don't filter sound much. That's one thing. Yeah. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Google, type in the word expat, select a link to navigate to W3 school site and click on SQL. So let's see how that looks like. This was in one of the interview questions. Somebody had to automate this. So they had to go to Google, and in here it had to type in XPath, hit enter, and choose one of these options that had W3 schools word on it. Click on it. Notice it didn't give you a different window. Let's try with Yahoo. Type in XPath. Okay. And choose the one that has W3 schools on it. It's going to click right here. See, a separate window opened up, or a tab opened up from here. You're going to switch the driver to this tab, and over here it's going to click on this SQL. Okay, so that's your interview question and how you're going to automate that. Let's write this down. What you're going to do is you're going to open up this project that you have in the interview. You have one of these classes. You copy this class, anyone. We just worked on hover over. I would just copy hover over. Control C for copy, and you click on test. Control V, you paste it. Window is going to pop up, tell you hover over test is already there. You're going to change the name and give it a meaningful name in your interview. Like if they say Yahoo search test, something like that. Yahoo search test for now. I don't want to get so fancy. Okay, and that's gonna give you this Yahoo search test right here. It didn't bring any of the code. Oh, there you go. I double clicked on it, gave me the code from the previous assignment. What you do is you look at it and you need system property, you need to instantiate. If you want to maximize, that's fine. And you might want to also leave this like a little helping hand for you, that implicit wait. Timeout dot implicit wait. One day it might come in handy. When your test is failing in front of people, this might actually save your life. There, time unit dot seconds. So leave that there. It certainly helps than hurts. And then you delete everything else. Okay. Delete everything else. And you start finding elements. You don't have to write element library here. I am writing it for your notes, that you understand what's going on. And you read the test case. Okay, so they might just verbally tell you. It could be written on a piece of paper. They will show you on Skype. Whatever. So here's the test case that they asked you to automate. And I'm just going to place it here. After today's class, you should be ready for at least interview. If they ask you to automate something, you should be, because this is going to do the whole thing. Miniature level. Let me just write this, then we'll do a test case. Yahoo search for to Yahoo. Type in XPath. Click on link with W3 schools. Four, click on SQL. Who can tell me how many elements that I need to mess around with?
Or
3 elements. 3 elements. One is for the XPath. The search box, you have to type in that. The other one, after the search comes up, you click on W3 School, and then that's going to take you to another page, and then you click on SQL. How does it look like? Again, this is Yahoo. You type in XPath, so this search box, send keys XPath. Actually, you're going to have to do 4 elements. You also have to hit search, right? Maybe I'll show you another trick. And then in here, your method, your XPath is going to pick this particular one that says W3 schools. Going to click, notice a new window open. You have to switch the driver to this new window. And then once that switch has happened, it's going to click on this. So there are 4 elements that you have to worry about. With that in mind, you start your automation. Okay. So going here, I'm going to take this. Don't try to follow me because you might miss out on some things. So just pay attention because I'm going to go really fast.
You need to rename. Yeah.
Got it? Okay, so far this part. Here is web element. Didn't spell it right. Okay.
One thing is that, line number 21, there is a throws interpreted exceptions. This is only for the sleep, right?
This one?
Yeah.
Only for the sleep.
So there is no sleep here. So should I keep it here or?
Leave it for now because you might need a sleep. We're going to need sleep every time we write an automation. Later on, you can take those sleep away and put explicit wait in replacement of that. Guys, explicit wait is explicit wait also uses sleep with a loop and check. It's going to loop and check every second. It's going to check and say, oh, did it show up? No, it didn't show up. Okay, loop again. Wait, sleep 1 second. All right, come back. Is it there? No. Okay, wait. Sleep 1 second. Is it there now? Yes. All right, don't wait 60 seconds. Get out. That's explicit wait. It's a code that's done for you. So it still uses thread.sleep in that method. So web element, here's my first element. I'm going to type in XPath into a search field. So search field element. With me? There's that search field. Right here. Yes? Right click, inspect, and I got ID. Copy. Go in here. Lowercase. Driver dot find element by dot ID. Good. Done. I caught one. You're catching fish. Next thing, you have to break your task down into steps. You know your test case, you typed in XPath. What is your next action? True, but after you type in XPath, what do you have to do? Click on the search, right? Then that's your another element. So you right click, inspect that, give it a name, and this might be a pain. That is what I'm going to show, but I just wanted to show you here. Here's the button for desktop search button. See, you can actually use that one. And if I hover over, does that get highlighted? Yes, it does. So even though I right click and it brings me to the span, this element is actually good enough to click right here. I could actually just take this ID and create an element there. There's another way to do this, which I wanted to show you today. One is you can actually hit enter. Can I hit enter in my keyboard and get that search? Do I have to actually click on the search button? No. How do I hit enter with Selenium? So I type in XPath. How do I hit enter? There's a way to do that. You can hit everything through Selenium. Anything that you see on a keyboard, you can do a keyboard action on it. And here's how you do it. On this search box is what we're going to hit the enter on. Okay? So we still need an element to hit the enter on. And the element is this search box that we already found, which is right here. That's the search box element. So I don't need this. Let me just delete that. Before I show you that, I need to actually do a couple more things. I have not even gone on that site yet, did I? How do I do that? Driver dot get. And need to paste the URL. I made a mistake last time. I took my own URL. This time I'm not doing that. I'm taking it from this address bar. I'll put it right here. And now I'm there. And in this search field element, I am going to type in XPath. So let's do that. Here's the search field element. Dot send keys. Not that one. Send keys. What am I typing? The word XPath. Okay. And now, do you want me to show you? Let's do it. That's slow. Why? Even failed? Connecting to Chrome? No such element?
He's trying to find both.
Which element got no such? Do that?
He's trying to find the element before.
First, I think driver.get should be up, right? Driver.get should be up.
Correct.
It's 39.
Correct.
That's right.
It didn't even get to this page yet.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do this. How can I fix this problem?
You have to write this code up. 3831.
That's one way. So if I take this code before, because Java executes line by line.
Yeah.
And when Java got here, it's like you set an element to go get. I don't even know which page it is. Here's the page. This needs to be ahead of us, right? But that doesn't that mess up our order?
So we can do by locator.
Doesn't it mess up, like we wanted all the elements up here? And you are so right.
By
That's
locator.
that's what
I
I
was facing with the explicit page. So,
was
we should always maintain the library by locator, right?
You-
That's what I learned.
you answered my question before even I asked it. That's why in the industry, they want to have all the elements up here and then do other things and not have to worry about this driver being called on these elements. They just store this much. If you store this much, you're okay.
Exactly.
If you store that much, you have to call this by. The type is going to be by. And then search field, this is going to be locator.
You have to remove the driver dot.
And then you take this part. This is how it's done in real world. Okay? And that's why, I mean, I honestly don't escape. How did I get that out? Come on. What is that? Huh? No, it's I probably pressed something weird.
I think you pressed something from the web meeting bar.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's not going. It's still not going.
Here's my best friend. How to close Windows Magni. To exit Magnify, press the Windows logo key plus escape. There.
Yeah.
Thank you. So now we're going to be still fine with this order because he has no driver there, doesn't care about which page you went to, it's just storing this data, not really doing things. When you put the driver, it does it. So we can't use this anymore. I like this because you can just click there and then say send key. You will notice that next week, I'm going to show you another way to actually have that web element here and then still be able to do this. There's a bypass way. But today, I'm going to take this, write it like this. Driver dot find element. Instead of by, search field. Okay, unfortunately, you have to now do driver dot find element. And then here you say send keys. And then type in expand. Okay? So let's do this. Didn't type in? Okay. Needs some sort of weight. Let's try 3 seconds. Still nothing. Not even feeling it. Probably waited for 10 seconds and failed no such element. Okay.
Stan, don't we have to find that box before typing XPath?
Like what?
Input box.
Like the search box? This is the search box locator right here. It should be fine, but this,
So it should be the next to the yahoo.com.
what would you do at this case, in this time? You need to check to see if this element was identified uniquely. And maybe it's not unique. So we go back in here, pick this, inspect that, and I mean, we close our eyes and we pick this, correct? But it didn't work. So what if with this ID there's more elements? So let's just double check that with your XPath idea. Here's that input. You take that, or input. Oops. Open close parenthesis in here, at the rate ID equals, and you paste this. We still got 1. So it should work. Want to change that to XPath? Let's see if that works. So instead of by ID, we're going to do XPath. Okay? You are saying the page did not still open. Why this would be? Could this be a problem? I don't see it to be a problem because I'm just storing the XPath. This is when it's getting invoked
Oh, this is input. Yeah.
by saying driver dot. So, but I don't know. Save it. To be honest, I didn't have these problems on my last batch. With the Dell and then this was all like smooth. We blazed through this class. Now I'm like getting stuck in here. What is the matter? Look at this. It didn't type it in here. Did I not do send keys? I did send keys. Okay, so we're gonna do it our old way. We're gonna take this and bring it up here. Okay? And we have implicit wait to be extra safe. Let's bring that down here. And if this time it doesn't, then I give up. I don't know what's going on today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Page is still loading. Come on. Okay, what did you do to find the element? Yours is working?
Yeah, but if we aren't using the same XPath header search input, whenever we use our XPath, it's
Yeah.
UH-search.
Yeah, done.
So you're saying that when I'm typing this in, my XPath here in the DOM is different from yours?
Your
Yeah.
ID is different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my ID is
What? How can that be? You don't have this ID.
We don't have it.
different.
We have
ID
UH.
search.
Yeah, search
Yeah,
box.
we have a different.
You
I
have a
was the
header
same,
search.
but yours
Can
is
you
showing
take XPath off?
Let me do this.
Can you take?
Am I in a wrong website?
No, you are right.
You
But
in the same-
www.yahoo.com.
Seriously, this is too much.
can you just take XPath off and it's gonna change?
Hold on.
Yes, it's gonna change.
So here's search box. Here's search. There's that input. Isn't that,
Oh no.
you have the same?
Well, no.
No,
it
no,
just
we
didn't
have the
change.
UH dash search box. That
UH dash search box.
Yeah. Yeah. Different. You know. Doing this one. You have the same thing?
Yeah, have the same like you.
Oh my god. So is it a version thing something?
I don't know. They may have changed some things.
Can we do it on the Google instead of your own?
Google doesn't open up another window, and I need to show you another window. So,
No, the same thing we can do it with Google.
all right, let's do
I
this.
did that.
Let me change this to what? UH
dash search
Yeah.
dash
No.
box.
But it won't work.
Oh,
I
it's
don't think so because in your website it's doing that.
UH dash search DOS box.
Yeah.
This is weird.
But you and me is the same.
Even he is in his laptop is doing the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I got it.
It's possible that maybe they are doing the release right now.
I think we are about to.
From the test environment to the production is possible. They tell us when they're doing that, and they ask us not to test anything on it. So I don't know, and that's why it's kind of flickering on those two versions. So one of those is a new version, which is going to have UH or something.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Oh, UH work.
Yeah.
UH
UH
But it's
work.
not
Can you find it in the element here? In the don't
There it is.
delete?
Yeah, it must have changed.
Yeah.
They are just doing release right now, guys. Okay, so a version just changed.
Because you're ahead of us. Later.
Yeah.
But he is doing instead is
But you refresh it.
So yeah, you just saw something that I've never seen it in the class happening. Okay, but sometimes what they do is they release and they see, oh no, this got broken. Back up. They revert it. If they revert it, then my test case is going to fail again because it's going to check. XPath is going to fail. So cool. Goodness gracious. Moving on, next concept. We are now here, we typed in, and instead of clicking on the search button, we're going to hit an enter. How do we do that? Same thing. You type in driver.findElement, same element, that search box. Okay, same thing, dot send keys. What you type in here is what you're going to type in there. So it's capital KEYS keys, and then if you press a dot, it's going to give you a list of things you can do. I don't want to do it this way. I would not just do plus. Why is it messing me up now? I cannot Windows zoom, guys. Windows plus. Don't. Escape. Sorry, folks. I still need to figure this out. How can I change this to view? That setting got changed. Do you know where it is? This one? Turn on magnifier, turn off. Okay. And zoom default. Alright. Control plus. Now see, it turns on the magnifier. On the magnifier. I don't know. Okay, that's gonna take too much time. Dot keys, and you will find something called enter. There's other things there, space, tab, whatever you wanted, you can use that. We're just gonna use enter and select that. Done. Let's test it out, see if it works. Hit enter and it got us to this particular page. Okay. Now I want this element here. What's my best way to catch this element and click on it? Link text. The whole thing? Partial link text, because we just wanted this part, right? Or see these two right here? So you could get it from up to here, and that will be fine. You can just copy that much. Go in here. You could write your element. W3 schools element locator by dot partial link text and paste that there. This is the easiest element you can find, is link text and partial link. Now driver dot find element W3 school locator dot click on it, but guys, you're gonna need some sort of weight here. One second. Okay, I'm gonna test this a little bit later. Let me just put in the code. Once I click here, it's gonna take me to this page. This is the idea that I'm trying to teach you today, is my driver is stuck in here. And you need to move the driver to this tab. How do we do that? Each window, each tab has something called window handle. It's a very unique number generated automatically, and every time it's generated, it's a different number. There's no point in saving that window handle number. Okay? You can print the window handle and see how it looks like. Let's do that. And over here, if you just go in driver dot get window handle, it's gonna get the window handle for the window that it's on, and it's gonna print it out for you. So let's look at it. F11. Even though another tab opened up, the driver is still stuck here, and it just printed out the window handle of this window. And that's that right there. If I try to print it again, it's gonna give me a different number for that, because each time it's generated brand new. Now I could say window handles is gonna print out all of them, both of them. So let's do that. And it's gonna print out the first one first, and second one second. I need to move the driver to the second window handle. Okay. And there's a little complexity in doing that, which I'll show you in a minute. There's an XPath, click on it. When there, we're good to go. At this point, I would hate to close the windows myself, so I'm just going to write driver.close, driver.quit, leave it there for that, and I'll close this myself. Here's the first window handle, and here's the second window handle. They are closed by a square bracket. AP's class, what type of data is this? Yes, more specifically, it's string here, but the whole thing is what? This driver.get window handles is returning what? Oh, could it be set?
Yeah, could be set also because it deals with using right.
Set, doesn't set use these symbols with numbers in them? Let's check it out. You can actually just type in, it's going to tell you the data type. Dot get window handles. Unfortunately, I can't zoom in. Oh, there you go. It just magnifies for me now. What type of data type is it? It's a set. A set of strings. That means there could be more than one. So for you to move through from this window handle to the second one, you have to use something called, I didn't mean to open that one. You have to use a for loop. Yeah. And you have to use an advanced for loop. Do you remember advanced for loop? For each. That's called an advanced for loop. Okay. Let's see how we're going to do this. I want my driver to move to, let's just leave that there, dot get window handles for us to print it out. Driver dot switch to, remember that switch to statement? Switch to a large, switch to frame. This time you're going to say, guess what? Window. And over here, you want that window handle to go. Understand? Now, if this was a fixed number, I could just save it somewhere and pass it right here, like this. But unfortunately, each time it goes to a different window or opens up the window, same window, number will be different. So you can't save it and go back to it. Impossible. That's an unfortunate thing. So you got to handle that. How are we going to handle it? You have to devise a for loop. And you have to put this inside the for loop. Okay. What are we going to do? For open curly brace and wrap this in the curly brace. Okay. Align it. My Control Shift F doesn't work. Okay. We want this loop to go through this guy. He's gonna first go to this guy, then second go to this guy, and I want that second one to go in here. And I want driver to switch to that second one. Okay. How do I do that? For each loop works like this. For each what? You have to say, what is it? What kind of data is this? It's a string. Each of these is a string, but this whole thing is what? A set of strings. The whole thing is a set, meaning more, a bundle, a set of strings, but each of these, so when you say for each, you have to ask yourself, for each, what is this? What data type is this? String. That's what you have to write in here. Okay. For each string. For each of these string, you gotta give it a name. Your choice. Any name you want. We're lazy people. We like to just give it smallest thing possible, S. Okay? That means that S is going to be this guy first. When he loops around, that same letter S is gonna be this string. Make sense? He's gonna carry it. You're actually storing, see this string, and you give it a name. You are gonna actually store this in here first. Loop around, we're gonna store this in that same variable. Same variable is gonna store this one first, then it's gonna store this one first. Make sense? For each string, you give it a name, then what you do is put a colon. That colon can sound like from. Okay. For each string, I give it a string name. From where? The window handles. Because this guy has those two numbers we just printed out. So from here, for each string name I gave, from this packet, from this set, so you put this whole thing in here. Question? They might, or you may have to demonstrate that you know this. You know? With me so far? Okay. So for each string, here's one. He's gonna loop here first. First, you created a container. It's gonna be string type. The name of the container is S. And this is a set of data that's gonna have, this is how it looks like. It has this and this. So when he makes the first round, this data gets stored in here. And you want this data to pass through this driver.switch to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write, because it's stored in that variable S, you can just write the letter S right here. Okay. So your container, and that's the name of the container. And this first one got stored here, and you pass that container right there. Guess what? Driver got switched right here. This for loop is smart enough to understand that there is how many elements here? 1 and 2. He already knows that I need to rotate this twice. So first time it rotated and put in this stuff in here and switched the driver to that window, which is the first window. Guess what? It's gonna do one more rotation. And in that rotation, this time it's going to take this guy, store it in here, and then pass it right here. and then it's going to stop. Where did my driver end up now? On the second window, and then this loop broke after that. So I ended up on moving my driver to the second window.
If there are more than 2 or 3 windows, if you have to tell this work should be done on second window, this work should be done on third window, then how will
Switching back and forth there is called a has next method, and you have to use another looping type called iterator. Cannot teach you that in this class. That you have to learn on your own. But what are the chances that you might have to handle that in your workplace? 1%. I've never used it. So
this for loop, every time we want to switch,
yes,
so we have to use.
if you use this one, works every time, and this is the simplest. That's why I teach this one. The other ones is too much and never use. So just forget that. So as long as you just put the switch statement inside this advanced for loop with the window handles, you're done. Now your driver got switched and you can do that operation. And this is easy to remember. There are other ways to do it. This is the easiest way you can do it. So now that we got this driver switched after rotating, our last thing was we wanted to click on X path was there. We clicked on W3 school. Driver switch from this window to this window, and then click on SQL. Inspect that. That SQL. What's the easiest way to get this? By looking at this element. Who can tell me? How do I know it's a linked text? Because it has the A. What else? href. So I could just copy this. Easiest thing is the linked text. So if you get a chance, always do linked text. Bring this boy down. Since we stack piled our elements there, we'll just continue doing this style from now on. SQL or SQL locator, SQL menu locator equals by dot link text, an exact text pasted right there. Close this out. Take this element, click on it. Driver dot find element by dot not by. If it's smart enough, it's gonna tell me what to type in there. Let's try this again. Find element. There you go. SQL menu locator. Click that. Enter. We're there. And now say click. Okay. Let's execute this, but we may need some wait. Probably not. Just for the safe side. Thread.sleep. All of this you can change it after running it. Clicked, but it closed. So maybe you need to see one more time before we exit out of this. Any questions? Let me walk around a little bit. There you go. You see that little circle still moving up there? It was waiting, implicit wait was waiting for that. 10 seconds, it will wait for that. You will see it on the tab, it circulates. Are we good? Any questions about window handling?
On during the interview, is it okay to use wait with? And you also, they ask, okay, type some code, and I try to type the code using wait with. It's fine.
Yeah. And they will ask you, is this sleep the smartest way to use wait? What are you gonna say?
No.
Cheap and dirty. Correct. I only use it while I'm writing my automation, but I don't leave it at that. Then later on I take it off because I need to see the steps working fine. Once I take them off, I look at to see if the test case passes. If it passes, we're fine. If it fails, I look at where it failed and I put in explicit wait where it's needed. Okay. If you get this question, you must bank on this idea that you're going to try to show how intelligent you are. So at that time, you're going to say that it is very important that we put weight wisely. Okay? Because if I put too much weight, the test case gets lengthier. Okay? Each test case, few seconds matters. If minimum wait time you can reach on each test case, that's most efficient. Why? Because then you're going to have 300 test cases running that. You need report now. They just switched. They just had a release from dev to test or test to production. You have 300 test cases for Yahoo. Are you going to wait 2 hours to find out that there are some things broke? Before you find out, customers already found out. And they will lose customer. They'll go to Google. So you need 30 minutes. You got 15 minutes. Run it quickly. And they probably do this like at nighttime typically. But we saw that maybe happening right now. Our company now we're doing release on a daily basis. That's another concept. It's called continuous integration and continuous deployment. What this can be done, let me just explain this to you because it's coming. This is new. It's not part of this course, but what's happening now, because they want really quick deployment from building to all the way, they don't want to wait 2 weeks. And you know, waterfall, you had to wait months. Sprint brought it down to 1 week or 2 weeks. And now, 1 hour. I was able to release in my company last week within an hour for the first time. And here's how it's done. They broke these things down into separate applications. So this mail is going to be one application. You won't see it on the page, but in the back end, it's a different code. And it doesn't touch what touches right here, news. So if they break it down into those components, what you're able to do is any changes here won't affect there. So your test case, if they have a change right here, that's not affecting any of these things, you have probably 100 test cases for this mail section. And just as soon as they moved it from stage to production, you kick off your automation. All your test cases, within 15 minutes, you got an answer, pass or fail. And if everything looks green, done. If there is a red flag somewhere, now there are some bugs, you're gonna find some bugs. There are two types of bugs. One is called blocker, the other is called non-blocker. Non-blocker bug is something that people can live with. For example, there's a little bit extra space right here. Is that gonna mess you up? Hmm? Why does it give me such a big font? Oh, there you go. Still too big. Delete that. So that little spacing you found out there's a little spacing extra. That's not gonna be a blocker. So they're gonna let it go. But if they see this image does not show up, they're gonna say revert it. They're gonna change that mail back to the original previous version. And they're gonna ask the developer to fix that. Make sense? Somebody makes that call. Project manager is typically gonna look at that error. You're gonna take it to them and say, we found this error. This image doesn't show up. Then project manager is gonna say whether to revert it back to the original version or leave it. It's okay, we'll fix it on the next round. Make sense? You have to explain this in your interview. They're gonna ask you, what do you do in these kinds of cases? Right? Moving on. Are we done with these handles? You can also study yourself and figure out how this, you just copy this code. Okay. Maybe I can just show you right now real quickly.
Stein,
Yes.
can you put everything together? I want to take a picture.
I'm going to copy this code, this right here,
Okay, yeah, that one.
and you're going to see it in this site.
Oh, okay.
You're going to see it in Autotech Notes. I already have it open. Right here in session 4. As a matter of fact, it's already there. This is from my previous session.
Okay.
You see this mouse over? Scroll up and down. You just copy this code right here.
Got it.
Here's window handle. All of this is there. So just do that. I'm going to just quickly put it in this class, just kind of show you how it's done.
Yeah.
So for this automation here, there's something called JavaScript. Okay. JavaScript is a language that actually handles this website on the very front end. Right? It does something like graphics and so forth. You may have seen it before. That's JavaScript. Now you can cast your driver into JavaScript executor and then do things to it. So what's happening in this code is you take this driver, you are casting with a bracket like this. AP probably taught you casting. Yes? No? Do you know what typecasting is? No? That's not good. Did he not go over that you can cast string into integer and...
No, I saw online, but I didn't discover it.
Okay, if I go there, it's going to take 30 minutes. But can I just quickly tell you and you just trust me? If you write something like this, let's say you have an int, yeah? You want to take that int, force it to become string. You put parenthesis in front of it. Unlike a method, you put parenthesis on the right side, correct? Casting, parenthesis goes on the left side and you put in what you wanted to cast it to. So if you just say string, now you took that integer and you forced it to become string. Understand? So this is in a short, quick and dirty. Same thing is happening here is you're taking the driver and if you see parenthesis before it, you know you're trying to beat him up in the parking lot and then make him look like JavaScript executor. Okay, he's no longer a driver. He became JavaScript executor. And then, now that he looks like JavaScript executor, you took him and you stored him in a variable called JS. Okay, which is a JavaScript. And then with that JS, you can do certain things. Okay, and that's what I want to show you right now. So here, if I create a container called JavaScript executor, let's copy this. JS in short, and then we're gonna cast it to this guy, and we're gonna take the driver, beat him up, and cast him there. And then you hover over, import JavaScript executor. And now with this JS, you are controlling those graphics or scrolling up and down, which is part of the JavaScript, meaning right here, this bar, this is a JavaScript bar. Now you can control that. So what are you gonna do? You can take this JS executor script, and here's a pixel. You can say 400, you can play with this number, and it will move things up and down. Okay. So this is scroll. Let's take a look at this. You can also use this, but let me just do one line and show you. Oh, I keep opening this. JS execute script, scroll 0 and 400. This is like x-axis and y-axis. X coordinate and y coordinate. Let's take a look at to see how this will actually do the things for me. I want to put it right after I went to the SQL page. So after it clicks on SQL, it's going to scroll somewhere. I don't know if it's going to scroll up or down. One second. Save. Let's run it. And then we'll figure out what we need to change those numbers to scroll down or up, or how much. It went down. Not much. Not much. But it did go down. Want to take a guess what I have to change here to go down more?
4,000.
Make it with 1,000. Okay. Run it. It went all the way down this time. So you can kind of change the number and decide how much you want to go down and up. What if I wanted to go down and then go up? What do I change here? Minus? Someone says minus?
I think we can just go and make it 200 or 400. And it says 0, right?
Uh-huh.
400.
So there's a 0 and a.
Can we make it 400? Just flip it.
Somebody says minus, somebody says flip it. Actually, one person says both. Those are very good suggestions, actually. Very brilliant suggestions. One of those is going to work. Which one do you want to try first?
Minus.
Minus? Either flip or minus. I can't remember. So we'll see. If it doesn't work now, then it's going to. Should have put a sleep there because it's going to mess it up. Let me close the execution here because we won't be able to see it. The red dot sleep. 2 seconds. Save. Run. Let's see. It worked. So you don't have to switch those numbers. With the negative 400, positive 400 took it down, negative positive 4,000 took it down, negative 4,000 brought it back up. So on that x-axis, it just kind of worked its own way. Whoever wrote the method did it this way.
It means like the 0, they change the 0. So the 0 is the one you started from. So wherever you are, so 0, then.
Is it that, or is that x-axis, but we're only moving y-axis?
We are only moving on y-axis.
We're only moving on y-axis.
Yeah, but it's like she's saying that we are on the 4,000.
Yeah.
So it becomes 0 now, 11. And when we are going up, so it will be like minus 4,000.
Your axis is different. Like change it every time.
And
Changing it.
and if you look at this method, whoever wrote it, it probably has the definition there. So
Yeah, we should not
those
go to
logic
that.
is there.
Yeah.
We should not go to
Yeah. All right. Do you guys need a break before I move on, or you guys okay?
5 minutes.
5 minutes?
How much we
Or
have to cover so we can decide.
there's quite a bit. I mean, technically, if I try to finish what I have today, I won't be able to finish it.
Today we are covering session 4, right? Till we are on session 4.
Unfortunately, yes.
Due to that Yahoo ID and all.
You just give me.
They changed it again.
They changed it again.
I couldn't.
They did?
Yeah, they did it again.
Probably reverted.
If this happens when we are showing in the interview, what should we say?
They will understand.
Oh, if you like how we kind of brainstorm and figured out that this was, if you were to brainstorm and like in a talk away, and let's say you found out that this happened, and you could point it out that hey, there was just 2 different versions. My expert wasn't working. Maybe they're going through the release. You got the job.
Yeah, because we are very confident
Because-
about our experience.
Because how many people really know that they really have the true experience would be able to say that. So, yeah. All right. I'll end the class at 1, but no breaks. Okay. So real quickly, here's session 5. Let me close these things out. And honestly, I can go through with you faster because now that I've actually spent some time with you, I think you got much smarter in automation. So I should be able to go faster. I'm going to introduce to you a test framework called TestNG. You can also watch this PowerPoint that's in here. If you click on it, it's going to download. Once it downloads, it goes to your download folder. You can open it up. Everybody has access to this. And I'm just presenting right out of that. Okay. All right. Why TestNG? And what is it? Why not JUnit? So far, we've been working with JUnit. Yes. TestNG is like the next generation or the latest JUnit. JUnit was fine, but the report wasn't all that fancier. It was on the left side of the screen. I could not even put it on a website for my whole company people to look at. Or I couldn't even email it to somebody. I would have to take a screenshot and then email it to somebody, right? All those problems were with JUnit. There were other problems. That is, what if I wanted to run a certain test case first and then a certain one later? I couldn't do that with JUnit. JUnit was just gonna run whatever appears as first on your test case file. It's gonna run it. TestNG, you can tell which one to run first and which one to run last. Okay. So NG actually stands for next generation. That's how they got that TestNG. You are gonna get an emailable report. You don't see my writing. I don't know why it always presents this way. Nope.
Online, people can see it.
They say that they can see my writing.
No, I can see it.
You can see it,
Yeah.
but the monitor doesn't show.
It's typing what you are speaking. Yes.
See, this is what I see.
Yeah, they see the same stuff.
Speaking
Oh, it's even typing what I'm.
software. Yeah, it's software.
Goodness gracious. What happened to technology these days?
Subtitles. Yeah, that's awesome.
How do I get out of this?
It's next
It just
generation
ended.
technology.
Get out.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay, I'm going to present it from here.
Advanced PowerPoint.
Right?
Yeah, it was advanced PowerPoint, right?
Okay. So, emailable report, HTML report. Those are some of the reports that you're going to get. Multiple test cases can be grouped in XML file, which is coming in the next couple of weeks. You'll see that, how we handle XML file to control test cases. This time with TestNG, it's going to not only tell you information, but it's going to break it down into how many test cases ran, how many failed, how many skipped. All of that information is going to be there. Okay. TestNG can be easily integrated with Maven, and we're going to need Jenkins. My last class is going to be on Jenkins, which I'll show you how to install and run it through Jenkins. Meaning your test cases will not be run through your computer anymore. It's going to be a web site that you're going to push your code to, and that's going to run it for you automatically at a certain time. Okay? Because you guys are automation engineers, you're going to automate things all across. Tomorrow's class. That's tomorrow's class. Test case can be grouped and run parallelly, meaning if you have 300 test cases, you can have several threads. You're going to hear the word in the interview, multi-threading. What is multi-threading? Okay. Multi-threading is basically, if this is your test case suite and there's 300 test cases, when you run it, it can run multiple threads. Meaning, it's going to break this down and say, okay, I'm going to run 80 test cases on this thread, 85 test cases on this. It's going to break it down and run 4 test cases at the same time. 4 different browsers will open and start clicking on it. Understand? It's like 4 different people.
So it's like Serenian blood, right? We call that Serenian blood.
Correct. So 4 different people, you're going to break a test cases into 4. 4 threads executed at the same time simultaneously, so it's going to cut down on your times. Okay? All of that good stuff is available with what? TestNG. TestNG.
So how we answer?
You're going to sum it up. You're going to sum it up, read this, and more on the interview type questions and how do we answer that. We'll do it towards the last of this thing. And how do we do it? Question is, so how does TestNG do all that stuff for you? It's actually with some code in the backend that you don't see. You only see these annotations. Like you are already familiar with @test. That @test invokes a code that you don't see to run your test case. Now you're going to see something else called priority 1. If you type in priority 1, and let's say there's a priority 2, 3, 4, guess what? Which one is going to be run first? 1. And then 2, and then 3. Now you just defined a sequence. If you needed a certain test case to run first, for any reason, you can set priorities with TestNG.
By default, it goes with a 7 order. If you're not satisfied,
Correct. Correct. That's by default. Lowest to highest number. You can also set multiple things side by side with a comma. Always run equals true. That means that test case will always run. That's all that means. Before test, after test, basically it will execute a method right before it runs a test case. Sometimes you may need to run that first. Can you tell me what? Signing. Correct.
Launching the browser, opening the website.
Launching the browser, going to that same site, because you're gonna go to the same site because you're only testing one site for your company. So you're doing that over and over. Might as well just wrap it on 2. Always do it in the beginning. So you don't have to repeat the code for 2 test cases, which if I time permits, I'll show you, if not tomorrow. Can you tell me what goes after test? Quit and close. Don't we always have to do that? So why do I need to write it over and over for every single test case? You can, with TestNG, you can put it after test and put a method to close all that. So there's more stuff right here. It's called before method and after method. There's something called before suite, after suite, and some other. There's a slight difference there. With your before test and after test is immediately before the test. Yeah.
But yeah, before test and before method is like quite similar, right?
Yeah. Now, before method, if you have a very complex test suite, it's gonna run before any method, not just a test case method. Meaning, if you have a framework of multiple methods, before method, this
just
could.
Like we make an explicit method separately, wait for explicit.
Imagine this. Here's a situation. Your test case has a lot of, your framework has a lot of methods, yes? But this method is not a test case. It's just a method. But this method is your test case priority 1, 2, 3. Got it? If you say before method, where's that? You are actually going to execute that even before this.
Even before the test.
Even before the test.
Even before the test. That's
yes. even before the test, even before this method. But if you say before test, then this is going to get executed here, just before the test, not before all the other methods that are there. Okay. You won't see any difference using these two right now because our framework is not heavy or big yet. The methods that we have, they're all test case methods.
Except when we made explicit wait for explicit wait, we always use for.
Yeah, I don't know if that would affect this though, but it could be in a different class or something. If I had another class with that, then it could be that. But yeah.
So what if this is the same platform?
A lot of that answer lies after I build the framework for you. So if I kind of go there, I'm kind of hesitating because you see how we kind of run out of time. So I know the answer, but I don't want to go there. Let me just finish this up, okay? And show you how this is going to work for you. We're going to build a new framework. So, and you need to be able to do this every time. Yeah, I clicked on that again. You close this out. So we're doing this from scratch. Even when we do this from scratch, you need to copy paste. Copy pasting is not dumb. It's smart. Over here, you need to be smart in your copy paste. Understand? How do we do this? Very first thing you need to do is right click in this empty box. And you're going to get a window. It's going to say new. We're going back to the first video that you saw. How I showed you how to install. Same thing. You go to new and then you go to project. You open this window. In this window, you're going to look at and look for the word Maven. Okay, you expand that. And then in here, you're going to find something called Maven project. You click on that and then you hit the next button. Understand? First step. It gives you this window asking where do you want this project to be. Typically, this will be selected. Use default workspace. Wherever my folder is, leave it there. That's what it means. Keep that there, hit the next button. Takes you to this window. Here you can choose, there are different templates. These are called artifact or archetype. Archetype is nothing but template. Quick start is the easiest one. It does everything for you. There are other ways of building the project. You don't need to. Just do quick start and then hit the next button. This window has two things: group ID, artifact ID. Artifact ID is your project name. Group ID can be any name. Typically, the group ID is your company name. Reversed from the website, com.textfiles instead of textfiles.com. Why do they do that? I don't know. And then also they QA guys, they add QA. Developer guys, they add DEV. We're just gonna say QA. Now under this group ID, you can have multiple projects. Why? A company may have more than one application. Do you think Yahoo only has yahoo.com? May have more. Google also owns YouTube. So you would have Google right here, YouTube for your one project, Google website for another project, and they have their own application that nobody sees to manage their employees, to manage their finance. There are more, those are called internal applications. Understand? You may be testing both. You may be testing google.com. You also may be testing something, they call it, let's say, Skyline. I'm just making it up. What does it do? And you make it up in your interview. You need to make those things up. They would never know. Nobody knows everything. So you would say, we also have, let's say you go, your resume says you work for TD Bank. So what was your work? I automated test cases for TD Bank website, and also we have a couple of internal applications. One is called Skyline, which manages our customer bases and internal workings and finance, things like that. So we also test an automated application for that. Okay, that's it. Make sense? So that will be that right here. This would be Skyline or whatever, whatnot. In our case, we're just gonna say text files. Text files, TestNG. Okay, and then hit next or finish. It's gonna create the project for you over here. Text files, TestNG. Now there's a little bit of work needed in here. One, you expand it out. I don't know how I can disable the magnifier and do the other thing, but this not window escape gets it out of there, but I was pressing window plus to kind of zoom in on it instead of magnifier. There must be, see this, oh, full screen. Yeah, okay, yeah, there, good. You have to first delete this Maven given packages. So you delete that. Open that up, right click, hit delete. Okay. Oh, right click, delete. Good to go. Next thing, you need to create a driver folder. New driver. Give it a name, folder name, driver. Finish. You got this driver folder. You already have another project. They have that driver right there. You can Control C, click on it, Control C, copy, and click on this. Control V, paste, and see this arrow came up. That means that file came up. Next thing, POM file. You go to the previous project. Here's the POM file. You can copy a few things, not everything. Definitely, who can tell me what I need to copy? Which ones?
Selenium server and
Selenium server and Selenium Java, but not going to take JUnit. So copy that. Go to my new project POM. Go inside this dependencies plural. Here's the plural closing sandwich. You delete that part and paste on top of it. We don't need JUnit. Now we need TestNG. How do I get that? Well, anybody can get that. It's free. You go to Google, you type in Maven dependency or Maven repository, either one. Dependency is fine. You'll get this MVN repository website. You go here. When you open that website, the search box, you type in test whatever you want. All the world's dependencies are here. TestNG, click enter. There's a whole lot of them, but typically you want to look at the first one. And I like this TestNG, TestNG, TestNG. Means this is original from that company, or testng.org. Other companies have that too, but I like it to be with the original. When you click on that, this window opens. This is going to give you all the versions. Latest ones are on the top. Sometimes latest are not the greatest because they may have bugs. See this beta, beta, beta? They are actually testing it with us. And then we're going to complain. Hey man, this thing doesn't work. Then they're like, okay, let me do beta 2 or another version. You don't want to mess with these right now. You just want to go back down a little bit. Okay, if you scan this, look at this 6.11. They never came out with another version in this. So they were very happy with this version. 6.13, they came out with 6.131. Something was wrong. Or this 6.14, they came up with the 2. It didn't work well. They fixed it and they did another one. 6.14.3. I don't want to go there. I feel like this is better, or this is better. There was no more extra versions made. So I go to 6.1. Use that logic. Clicking on it copies the whole thing, or selects the whole thing. Control C, copy. Go back to your, oh my God. Close. In here, paste it. You don't need this line. But if you leave it there, it won't hurt. You take off these extra lines. Control Shift F aligns everything. Looks pretty.
Control Shift F. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4. Opening what?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Control Shift. Press and hold Control Shift, and then press F.
Whatever.
Not the function key.
Oh,
So we're done with dependencies. We're good to go. You can close this now. Save it always. And this is from the old one. We saved that. We got 3 dependencies here. Now you're ready to build your project. So you right click.
I have a question. So we always work with the Chrome driver and the real scenario.
Most companies work with Chrome driver. If you do work with another driver, all you have to do is set your properties to that.
For Safari, even we don't need to set the property.
You have to set properties for Safari. And when you go work for a company, they already have it set up for you. You don't have to do a thing. No setting properties needed. Your framework is going to do that for you, which I'm going to show you next week. What is your framework and how it's to build it. So now you are ready to build your project. You right click on it and you go to this window and go to build, run as Maven build. This you got to do it only for the first time. You click on it, it's going to open up a window for you like this. And in this section window, you're going to see your cursor is where it says goals. You need to type in what? Who remembers? Clean space install all lowercase and just click on run and then you're done. And you want to watch this console, making sure you get a build success. Otherwise, there might be some issues. So we got a build success. While it did that, it actually loaded all the dependencies right here. All the folders and files from the website. These are jar files. It pulled it, downloaded, got it ready for your project. And now your project is ready. Question? Now, how do I do a TestNG class? Let's automate a test case also. In the back of our mind, here's what we're going to automate. Simple, you already know it, so we're going to copy paste and automate these test cases. Our first test case is going to be logging in. So it's going to be this website. It's going to go in here and log in. We have the code for it. So we'll just do that. What do you have to do? Nothing different. Same old, yeah. You create a test packet in that test class. Okay. So you go to this src test Java, you right click, click new, and create a package. We call that test package, all lowercase. Then hit finish, and that gave me a package. In that test packet, new class, this is where your test case is going to go. We're going to say login test. Finish. we got the login test right here. All right. Now, we already have our login test in another project. I think dashboard test might have that. No? Add contact? Okay. Let's steal some code. Here's our login test. Let's give it a name. Tommy, come on, what to write? Mhm. Login test. Let's just call it login test. Keep it simple, not waste time on that. No big deal. Here, you still have to say @test. However, if you hover over this one now, see that? Import TestNG, but also you need to double check that you have the TestNG library here, which I don't see it. Probably it's not going to cause an issue. Still asking for add JUnit. Let's see. That's fine. This could be probably for TestNG. You don't need the JUnit for. I don't know. Can't remember.
Because you didn't add the dependency for JUnit, right? So it will not create a folder for that.
No, I was thinking maybe it would create a TestNG folder. So
we should have created.
Yeah, we'll see when we run the test case. It might throw an error. Let's take a simple code right here and see if it works. Okay. So you take these 2 lines. That's all you need. Control C, set property and browser open. Now you run it. You can right click, run as. See this run configuration? That means that TestNG folder wasn't built here. Okay. So if that happens, just go ahead and do run configuration once. And it's going to ask you this clean and install. That should do it. I am missing something. I'm missing a plugin for TestNG. Or it might run. No, it didn't do the entire build. Now it's doing it. Yeah. Yeah. It did a quick build success, but it's actually supposed to do a lot more. In my mind, I was thinking, how come it happened so quickly? But no worries. It opened and it works. Okay? That's all you need.
What did you do?
Huh?
Run or run on?
So I did right click, go to run as, and run configuration. Now, there is a plugin that may be needed for Eclipse. Let me just double check out.
Eclipse Marketplace, I think we have to
Marketplace. Yeah. Okay. Now let me go over this. And I didn't have it in the notes. All right, here. Eclipse configuration with TestNG, yeah, TestNG plugin. So if we go to session 5 and check number 5, you have to configure your Eclipse with TestNG plugin. Even though it works, but it doesn't work as well. You might have some issues later down the road. So you want to do this is go to help, type in, go to Eclipse Marketplace, and this is how you're going to install it. Let's see if I have any more information on that. No, I didn't. So you go to Eclipse, do this all over again. Go to Help. Go to Eclipse Marketplace. This window is going to open. And in here, you type in TestNG, hit enter. Look at the search results. If you don't see anything that says TestNG, you click on this link. If you scroll down, you will see there's a link that says 6 matches found, browse for more solutions. If you click on here, it's going to take you to a site like this. And if you scroll through, these are some other plugins that they found. But look at the very top one, TestNG for Eclipse. And there's this install button. Okay. So if you click on that install, it's telling me this version is not okay. Let's see one more thing here. Here's another thing you can do. With your batch, I'm having all kinds of issues. All right, here's another way, and I don't promise you that that's gonna work because I haven't tried it recently. So you click on this globe icon, it's gonna take you to this page right here, and one of this bottom right corner, you'll see this icon. If you click on that icon, it's gonna bring you this page, this window. In this window, you will see an URL. You take that. So you copy that. After you copied it, you go back to this help. And now you will see another option that says install new software. You click on that, gives you this window. In this window, you click on this add option. Okay? You say add, gives you this window. In here, where it says location, you paste that URL that you found. And the name, what we're trying to install is TestNG. And you type that in there. And that should do it. Now you say add, it's gonna add right here. Hopefully. Don't shoot if it doesn't. Because then I'll have to troubleshoot this tonight and figure out another way. Looks like it worked. If it works, then it's gonna come up with something here. You select all of these by selecting the very top box, and then you hit next. You get this page. Keep doing next, and I accept and everything, agree to it, finish. You are good to go, except you have to restart the whole thing.
You have to create the project again?
No, just restart Eclipse. So I'll close this out, close this, exit, restart Eclipse, launch. Here's the project. Will I be able to see that in the marketplace now? Probably not. Don't care. Just right click, run it, run as. It's still not showing TestNG here. Clean install each time. Doesn't make any sense. Maybe I have to restart the entire computer. Your automation works, but it's not supposed to show run configuration. It's supposed to show TestNG, and then you should be able to run it. Let me stop right here. At least we got the framework ready. I'll carry on from here and show you some of the annotations that you can use. I'll also troubleshoot to see why it's doing that. If you can go home tonight and do this plugin, if it's possible, build another framework, see how that's done, copy paste some things, and get it running. You should be good to go for tomorrow. And then tomorrow, I'm going to give you a homework for the week to work on. And the things that I have tomorrow is just mainly theories. I'll also teach you Git. Not a whole lot of code there. And come at 9 o'clock, please be here because I'm gonna get started really quick. I know today we started a little bit later because of the new location and stuff. So just be here on time and I'll go really fast. Try to cover everything that we missed. Any questions, online folks?
Yeah, maybe one thing you can do, please, in the class as fast as you can upload the video.
When I try to run.
Yeah.
Because memory is not so fast, If I saw a couple of times,
Correct. Can you, if you see AP, can you tell him that?
I already talked to
We
him.
already told him. We told him.
Okay.
AP told me last time is miscommunication, so it will be okay.
All right, I'll ask him myself.
Oh, did you reach out to Enrico? So he's not here. I don't know what's going on.
Let me see if I can get access to do it myself. I'll ask him.
They are saying.
That's better. We did it first.
Yeah.
Because our.
They say it's time to not upload again.
All right, I'll ask him. All right, folks. If no more questions, let's see you tomorrow, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.